So yeah, hi everyone, and thanks again for like the very kind introduction. And so I made some slides to kind of chat with you about my life experiences at ENTC. So I was there almost a decade ago. Like I started in 2016, and then I was there until 2019. And so I'll start off talking a little bit about my personal journey from the time I joined ENTC until now, and then take a deeper dive into my personal time at ENTC, what I liked most about it, and maybe things I may have done differently or things that I really like doing. And then I'll chat a little bit about how like planning for the future, how like the all the advice I got at ENTC, like what was useful for me and what was not. And then in the end, like if anyone has any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer some of them as well. So in terms of my personal journey, so I joined ENTC or kind of made that decision during the summer break in 2016. So back when I was there, we got like a almost 2 month break after our first semester. And at that time, I was very fortunate to get introduced to Dr. Ranga by so in our first semester, we got mentors, and my mentor was Professor Visaka, who introduced me to Dr. Ranga. And since then, I like Dr. Ranga got me involved in his vision group in the department, and some highlights of my time where I was able to like be a co-author in three different papers. I was able to do this really fun internship in the UK. I went to a bunch of hackathons with a bunch with three of my department mates, and we even visited one in Taiwan, which was fully funded. And then I also was on the debate team, and then I played tennis a bit, but I was not great at that. And I also won the university gold medal for the most outstanding graduate of the year. So, in terms of my time at the ENTC, yes, I did a lot of things, but I also made a lot of friends and like got involved in like all of the fun department events. And so I'm reusing some of the slides I have used when I spoke to newcomers in the department earlier. So I think like this is like just those slides again, but yeah, so I'm like the person in the boxes that I've circled around. And I think like when I look back, yes, all of the achievements I made do give me a sense of satisfaction. At the same time, like a lot of the memories I made, a lot of the friends I made, like Mike on this photo, like, there's a guy called Mike in this who's in DC right now, and like we hang out very often. He's one of my best friends. And there's a person called Kit Min who I constantly talk to. And a lot of my friends are people I still constantly talk to. And like they've become a part of my life, many of them. And so to take look at my personal journey since then, so as Dr. Ranga mentioned, I was a ML engineer at this local startup called Veracity AI back in the time. And then I joined this research lab in the UAE for about a year. And then for the past 5 years, I was doing a PhD at Stony Brook University in New York. And I was lucky to be able to do these research internships at some top companies. And I was also able to collaborate with a lot of people. So during my PhD, I was able to be a part of 15 plus peer reviewed publications. And this year, I've been like working with this industry research lab, and I'll uh, properly be doing an industry job this year onwards. So taking a look at some of my recent research, so I want to give a flavor of like what it means, like maybe 10 years after you leave the department, if you pursue like a bit of a researchy direction, where you could end up in. Like, so my research has been on video understanding, but towards the last year of my PhD, I have also been exploring a lot of robotic or video generation related things. And these are two projects. The one on the left side was something I led myself. The one on the right was an extension of one of my prior works. And so this is actually a robot that's in our lab. And so we basically trained like this algorithm that predicts optical flow, that tells how a robot should move, and then another small algorithm maps the optical flow to actual robot control actions. And it's controlled purely by language. Like we just give a language command saying, say, pick up the toy that looks like an apple, and it will do that. So this is kind of a flavor of the type of work that I've been doing. And looking at this, and if I am to map some of these back to what I did in the department, I would definitely say a lot of things I studied, from these fundamental signals and systems courses to understanding like visual geometry. So even in this example on the right, where there's a live robot moving, uh, so we used a lot of things from inverse kinematics, which involves like, all if anyone takes a computer vision class with Dr. Ranga, like we learn a lot of these epipolar geometry, camera matrices, how to like project things back to and forth from a camera system. A lot of the things that you learn in the department give you a solid foundation, and some things, like if you work in a very researchy job, you might even directly use those things later on in your respective research or industry work. So this is kind of what I do like right now, and like both of these websites are public. You can check them out if anyone's interested. So taking a deeper dive at my time at ENTC. So I think first off, I think to me, I feel like grades, despite what most people say, are quite important. And by like important, I mean like should have decent grades, like a A minus or above. And I understand that you can't like always have like this clean A plus all the time, and I did not either. Like I was the third best in my batch, and I did have like a couple of like bad grades also. Uh, but at the same time, like especially if you plan to go to grad school, a strong GPA really helps. And at the time, I was about 2 years ago, I remember 38 plus in my cohort were pursuing grad school. I don't know how much the number is right now. It might be even higher. And I think like to get good grades, like my key thing that I like, my philosophy had been like to try and have consistent efforts as opposed to last minute cramming. And particularly, like maybe in your first semester, you might not have that much of a choice in the courses you select, but going forward, you get a lot more choice in selecting what you want. And very often, I would pick courses that I was genuinely interested in. And I always tend to read like the relevant books, like require the recommended reading material. Like I borrow books that are related to whatever course I'm taking from the library. And I try my best to take an interest in the course. And in a way, like, yes, I do want to get a good grade, but I don't necessarily optimize for the grade. Like for example, like when I was in high school, when I was aiming for A levels, I definitely optimized to get a good score for A levels. Like I just did tons of questions and like practiced past papers, like the standard thing that everyone does. But at university, I think like I spent more time trying to understand what was like being taught, and also trying to kind of make myself more passionate about whatever subject I was learning. And yes, I think like that's what like I kind of learned to enjoy each subject that I took as a class. And that really helped me out a lot. And sometimes like I feel at ENTC almost all of the time, like if you are passionate about a course and you put in time to like read and understand the material well, that is very often reflected in your grades. Like you would get good grades if you do that. But there are of course outliers. Like there will be a couple of times when like yes, you might even be like the expert in this, but like perhaps like some things like the end exams like weird, or like it doesn't work out. Like you may get like a grade you don't expect, but that again I think is a great life lesson, because that's kind of what it is like when you're in like the real world doing research or working a job. Like you might do everything perfectly correct, but some random way factor comes in and like there's things don't go according to plan. But overall, like my key advice or takeaway is that like I was lucky that several people pushed me to prioritize grades while I was there. And I think like prioritizing grades, like making sure that I didn't just think, oh, I'm in ENTC now, I don't have to like worry about anything. Like everyone's gonna get a job, so whatever grades I get, I'm okay. Like not falling into that kind of mindset, but instead keeping in mind that having good grades is something important really helped me. And then, yes, grades are important, but like there's a lot that you can do at ENTC beyond what's in your curriculum. And I think like a question that I've always asked myself is like, what would make me special at the end of like a couple of years in the department? So one thing is like you should focus on whatever unique opportunities you get at ENTC. So in my case, I was able to collaborate with like well, I reached out to Dr. Ranga for like research he was doing. He connected me to a master's or MPhil student he had at the time, and then like I worked with him on a research project and two other senior students in the department, and then like afterwards I once we finished the first project I was working with a bunch of my batchmates, and I think like try to figure out like what are like the unique opportunities that you have at ENTC that students in other departments don't have or students in other universities may not have, and try to leverage those opportunities to strengthen or build any new skills in yourself. And I think you should always take initiative to like ask for mentorship or advice. Like feel free to like maybe email some faculty to see if you can have a 20-minute chat with them sometimes to just ask about life advice, career advice, like student advice, like student life advice, and do the same for seniors. Like I mean, even if you don't know anyone, like maybe like try talking to like people you meet at e-club or like any societies, clubs, or department events, and like I, I am very sure that any senior that you ask would be more than happy to like have a short chat with you. And then like the second point is try to like also take time to have personal projects. Like in my case, I became the computer vision person in my cohort. Like I was exploring and specializing in that. And at the very beginning, it wasn't just like these were not even side projects. Like when I had like a course project, I made sure that my project had some vision flavor surrounding it. I remember like my first semester in the department, we had Professor Jacks who was uh like teaching like had a very bulky project, and we somehow managed to bring some vision ideas into that project also. And then like the last thing is like I think I mentioned about being passionate about something, and my personal take is like, especially in terms of personal projects or what you specialize in, to be passionate about something, I think you should initially just spend a lot of time doing it so that you'll slowly become good at doing it. And I feel like you enjoy certain things only when you've spent enough time to kind of become somewhat good at it. And then once you start enjoying it, you'll be like wanting to spend a lot more time on it. And it's like a cycle, you become even better at it. And then the next thing is networking. So I did mention briefly in the earlier slide about trying to connect with faculty and like your other students in the department. So I think one very important thing is like based on whatever interests you decide, like whatever area you think of specializing in, you should try to build some close relations with some faculty. And you could even like it doesn't necessarily have to be limited to the uh, ENTC faculty. Like I had like a very close relationship with this civil engineering professor called Priyan Dias, who uh, like he just taught a first semester class, and like I spoke to him after class about some problem he gave, and he thought like I had interesting ideas, and then like I booked like 15 minutes to chat with him in his office. And since then I actually like would go chat with him like 15-20 minutes every semester sort of, and like kind of kept in touch with him. And like maybe like, that was a relationship. Like I don't think like professionally it was not like, I mean, he's in a very different field, so like it may not be like directly a professionally beneficial thing, but it was a very nice experience being able to like talk to a professor like that and like get his thoughts, insights on like many different aspects of my life. And I think back to like building relations with faculty, it could even be things like that. But I think the easiest ones are like when you do projects under their supervision, like even a class project, like try to interact with the faculty, like try to take up their time to like go talk to them during the office hours, or like try to fix some time outside of class to talk to them maybe. And try to communicate like a lot and throughout, in the sense like if you build a connection with like a professor during one subject, like later on, like maybe a month later, like once you finish that course in the next semester, like drop him an email and try to have like a 15-minute chat sometime, and then the following semester do the same. And you're going to be in this department for another 6 or 7 semesters, and each semester kind of refresh and maintain that relationship, like update them on what you're doing, get their insights, advice on how things are. And I think like that helps you really build relations, and building these kind of relations is very important, like as you go forward in life, like not just with faculty, with anyone in the industry even. And the next thing is, I think like reaching out to alumni. So based on like where you see yourself, I think like grad students who are like doing PhDs, or people in the industry, or even if there's like professors, like junior professors you might know from our department in like other universities, like try to build relationships with them. Like you could like uh cold email them, like saying, oh hey, I'm a student in ENTC, and I'm doing like certain projects like this. And I've had people emailing me like randomly, like out of like without me knowing them at all. And like I have actually like replied and even had calls with several of them. So do understand that a lot of the time, like in fact, including faculty and like anyone you reach out to, like out of the blue, like not like someone you've not met before at all, like they would probably be getting a lot of emails like this. So like be careful when you email someone to kind of very clearly ask something. Like let's say you're doing a project on robotics and you're running something in a simulated environment on your laptop, and you're experimenting with how some algorithm you modified affects object manipulation in this environment. And like in a very brief but clear way, like communicate on your email saying, oh, I'm doing something like this, I noticed you had been working on similar things, I wanted to ask, do you think like this idea is applicable in these scenarios? Do you have any feedback, or like I'd like to ask some more things, would you be free for a call, things like that. Like try to be like very specific and clear when you reach out to like people you've not met before. And then I think in your fifth semester, all of you would do an internship. So build a lasting relationship with your manager. So my manager at my internship was this person called Sadeep, who Dr. Ranga had introduced me a while like before that. And uh, I, I mean, I still like call him, and like he's based, like he was in New York. We would like grab dinner, coffee together often. And now every time I visit Sri Lanka, we grab coffee together, and like we occasionally have calls and WhatsApp each other. So like you should like in 10 years time, your internship manager should be like a close friend of you, like, and that will really help you in your career, like especially like after leaving ENTC. And then like the other extras. So I think I spoke a lot about the work part of things, but I think like the life part is also pretty important. Like there's a lot of like recent studies, research showing that sleep is like the number one indicator of how well people do in academics. Like, so like make sure you try to get like constant, like if you need 7 or 8 hours of sleep, like make sure you get like the amount of sleep that your body feels like refreshed with. And like, of course, like you can't get that every single day, but like make sure like at least on your usual week, like at least 6 days of the week you get proper sleep. And like if you do have like bad sleep schedules, try not to make them habits, like make sure they just happen once in a while. And also like focus on like eating well, and then like mental health, physical fitness, like these are both like very important things. And I think like I know we all know these things, but again, like in the middle of the semester, when you are juggling three different projects and you have to study for some mid exam, and at the same time, let's say you're playing on some sport team, like with all of that, like you like a few of these things might suffer. So like always try to like keep in the side of your head like that if you want to optimize for like being good at something in the long run, you need to have a good balance, because like maybe in the short run you'll do amazingly well by sacrificing one of these, but in the long run these things are going to catch up on you. And then the other thing is social life. Like you'll be making a lot of new friends in the department, and like do devote time to like help those friends out, like build strong bonds and connections with them, and also like strengthen and renew whatever bonds you have with your family. And like I said, like during your internships or any like industry connections you have, like build these lasting relationships with these people. Like it's like you might think maybe it's like a waste of time to, I don't know, go out for like food or drinks with your manager or like whatever like people do in the internships, but like I think all these social events where you meet people, like talk to them, like just casually hang out with them are like very important. And it can be in like different scenarios. Like I have a close friend like who met a lot of built like who moved to Germany, and she built a like she's very religious, and she built some very lasting relations with people she meets at church where she regularly goes to. So your social circle, social aspects can be like whatever, like it can be very diverse based on who or what type of a person you are. And then the next part is like planning for the future. So I think something I always say is like build a CV today itself. And it's kind of a good guide to see your personal progress. And this is something I haven't actually done, but something that someone else I recently found does. They have versions of their CV that they always like. So like this person was showing he's around my age, and he has a CV from like the past 12 years. So like he can kind of see how his CV evolved over the past 12 years, and kind of it's like a journey of his life where he kind of looks at the diffs of his CV, like the past 12 CVs, and he can see, oh, I've progressed like this. So, I mean, that's like an interesting side thing. But in general, like take a look at other people's CVs to see where you want to be in 5, 6 years. Like if you see someone like, oh, I would like to be in that person's position doing that kind of a job, like take a look at their CV and like kind of figure out, okay, these are the things they have. And then like kind of think like, okay, what is my CV now? And like if I'm gonna get there, like I will need some of the things they did like while they were in college. And also like especially like these days with like LLMs being common, like build a nice personal website. Like I mean you should be able to use like uh I know like Cursor or the GitHub Codec, the GitHub Copilot or whatever coding assistant you are familiar with to easily whip up a website in like an hour or two with zero coding skills. So like try to have like a nice web presence and all of that. And also, I think this is another thing I wanted to talk about but couldn't get a slide in. Like, I feel like in the industry today, like everybody is starting to use these like agentic frameworks where like coding agents, like things like chat gpt, cursor, like that help coding, that help writing, these are being used in so many different ways. And they are also, I know at my university here, they're also being used to evaluate people, like they're being used in so many different ways. So like also kind of stay up with how all of this is evolving. Like don't just reject, like make sure you follow whatever guidelines and rules that the university or your courses place, but also make sure that you know like the latest things and how these can be leveraged to your benefit. And the other things like planning and scheduling, like this is something I always do, like from my undergrad to the day. Like I kind of jot down like the weekly goals I want to achieve on a given week. And I kind of also have like later on in life, like maybe not in college, but like I had like an idea like what I want to achieve this month, this year. And but like at least like I think at university, it's a good idea to kind of have weekly goals, like figure out what are the things I want to wrap up this week, and also kind of monitor your progress, review how these goals go on. And these are not necessarily just like studying goals. Like these could be, I don't know, workout goals. Like if you play a sport, like you should want like some timing in how you run. Like, but having goals and like knowing that you're sticking to these goals, and if you're not sticking, monitoring yourself and reviewing and making fixes to align yourself to these goals. I think learning that ability is something very useful. And also like at least at a semester level, I think that's something you should try to like have, like each semester kind of try to figure out like what are things you'd like to do to kind of build or change in yourself. Like I know like you would get caught up in whatever you're doing every now and then, but I think it's always useful to take a step back and kind of rethink like why am I doing all of this? Like you guys are at the end of the day in this top department in the country, and all of you can easily get very good jobs, and like but you are spending a lot of time putting a lot of effort into what you're doing over the next 3 years. So like always take steps back to think like why you are doing this. Like you want to transform yourself into a better, more capable version of yourself, or you want to change certain things about you to be stronger. So like take time to like take a look at the bigger picture and figure out what exactly you want. And yeah, so in hindsight, like I think my experience at ENTC was definitely challenging, but it was also very memorable and worthwhile. So, like the fact that you're here means that you're really good at studying and you have amazing reasoning skills, and also the ability to put in a lot of consistent hard work to achieve a specific goal. Like you did well at the A level exams and your semester one exams because you were able to consistently work hard. So try to see how you can use this ability to like improve yourself further, achieve things, and also think like what exactly you want to achieve. So yeah, my key advice is like you're already equipped with amazing skills that are more than enough to succeed in ENTC. And like good results, they consume effort and time, but they are worthwhile. And I think like the two key things at this point in life is kind of planning with mentorship from others and self-discipline to decide like how do I want to use the skills and time I have to achieve certain things that each of you uniquely would want for yourself. So yeah, thanks a lot for like having me and listening to me. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to like ask them, or you could also like send them through Dr. Anga to me, and I could like respond to you over email or something.
If you have any question, you can go close to the field and ask. Don't be shy. Very valuable question. Let me ask you the question. So, how do you find all these internships in these top companies?
So I think like uh, I mean all the big ones were during my PhD. So my first one I actually just applied for a lot. Like I think my first year I applied to at least 100 different places, and I interviewed with like 20 plus places, and I got about 4 or 5 offers, and Amazon and Apple were the two big ones I got. But after I got my first internship, I think like then I only applied to like 10 or 20 places each year, and I would hear back. Like, I think once you have one big internship, you tend to like get more once. Like, I think getting the first internship is the hard one.
Thank you so much. Any other questions? Do you have any questions?
Thank you for the wonderful speech. I have a question like, how did you get started working on like research at ENTC? Like, what's the process sort of a thing? And how did you find the seniors and the research ideas sort of thing?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. So, to be more specific, so my first one, like, I think maybe I was very lucky at the time. Dr. Ranga had like a graduate student who was doing some research, and I simply got in, like, Dr. Ranga connected me to that. So, what I did was I found like faculty who were interested in doing some research, and I just reached out to like what me and others in my batch did was you should find some faculty who might have similar interests as you. At the time, I actually didn't have any interests much. I knew I kind of like this vision robotics direction, and uh, like I asked one professor about this, and they suggested Dr. Anga was doing something similar. And then I had a 15-minute call with him like a long time ago, and he suggested a bunch of things that he knows and is like working on. And I was like, oh, I'm interested in this from that. So I think like the first thing is like maybe find particularly a faculty who might be like new or junior, who's like spending a lot more time in research, and just try to like just email them and ask if they're free for like a 15-minute call, because you're a new student, you're interested in spending your free time doing some research. I think that's like a first step. Like you could just uh, look up like the list of faculty on I think like I think like we have this list of the faculty in this website, and you can just, let's say you want to look up this person. I usually just look at the Scholar website. I do year, and they do have papers in 2025, 2024, which means they were involved in some research recently. And then I kind of click their last paper to see what kind of work they were doing. Or let's say I find like another person. Like I think like this Google Scholar is like so he has like two papers from recently, and he has many papers from 24. And I think like so this was the paper we looked at. Like you could maybe try reading like the abstract of it, see what, and then if they have a website, like you immediately look at the website, see like what they've been up to, and kind of try to get idea what they are doing. And if anything in that resonates with you, like I think like you can even directly ask them for a chat even if things don't resonate, but you think you might like to do something like that. So yeah, I think like just look up like the list of faculty in the department, see what kind of things they do, and if something resonates, definitely reach out to them. And if there's nothing that you find very interesting, but if there's something you can understand and think, I could see myself doing this, like still like reach out to them and ask like, are you free for a 15-20 minute call? I'm interested in doing a research project. Can I like have a call or meeting with you?
So from the fact that you started working on your research projects quite early in your life in the department, so I'm guessing you realized fairly early on that you are quite into computer vision and that was your chosen area of specialty. So I just want to know like how you came to that conclusion, how you decided that
Oh,
this is the area that you want to specialize in.
so I think that was actually I was actually earlier interested in this computational biology, computational neuroscience kind of things, and uh, but at the time, Dr. Ranga was someone who was doing interesting research, and he was working on vision, and he had an opportunity for me to work on vision immediately. And the my first project on doing vision was purely because there was the opportunity to do that. And then I actually found out it was quite interesting. There was a lot of math involved, there was a lot of coding involved, and like I was enjoying the work. And after like spending like 4 5 months working on that project, I continued doing that work even almost for like a year. And by that time I was actually quite good at like I knew like all the libraries, tools that you needed for it. I was also familiar with how to read papers and understand the papers in that field. And I felt like computer vision was an interesting match for me. So to be honest, like I think I just got into computer vision because that was the best like opportunity I had at that point in time. And like I think if there is someone who's doing research in the department, I think you should like I think getting involved in any research as an undergrad is not a bad idea, because to be honest, like you would like yeah, at that point when I got involved in the vision project, I had no idea what exactly vision encompasses or whether I liked it or not. Like I just knew I wanted to do something researchy. And I mean, like, my options were like if I did it or if I didn't do it, so I might as well try out something to see if I like it. I think that was kind of my reasoning.
Yeah, any questions? Please don't hesitate
Yeah,
to ask questions. Thank you so much.
I think I'm not hearing you like your voice is getting cut off or
I just asked them to raise questions if they have, Dr. Kanchana.
oh, okay, okay.
Please.
Thank you for your valuable insights. The academic load here is very high. So my question is, how did you manage your time? How did you balance academics with the research?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting like question. So, uh, I would say that I always made sure that like I put enough time for my academics, but at the same time, like so it's not like I always spend time doing research. So a lot of the time I like the research work I did was I didn't physically need to like be in one place or anything because I was doing computer vision research. I could just do everything on my laptop. Like it was not like robotics research where I have to physically be somewhere. So a lot of the time I would do it like when I'm away. Like I actually started off my project during a break time. So like I just spent like time when I was like away, like when the semester was not happening to do some research work. And a lot of the times I think uh so I don't have like a very good answer to it. It's just like I made sure I put in like when I have time, I would put in time for the research. But there definitely were times where like I was focused entirely on like my coursework. I think it's important to kind of try to figure out like how much time you're putting into your coursework also, in the sense like uh sometimes like I would make a call myself like if like how much time I'm going to put into like this project that I'm doing for a particular course, how much time I will put it like very often it's very easy. Like you might be doing a project for one course, and that course is just three of your credits, and you have, let's say, three other courses that semester. But like often I've seen for a lot of times, like a course or a project from a single course might take up like all of your time a week. And I at the beginning that happened to me a lot, but something I would actively try to do is avoid that. Like if I'm taking four courses, like I would try to make sure I allocate similar amounts of like times for each of them, and also make sure that like I don't overspend all my time on one thing. So yeah, I think like there's no like clear science to it, but I think it's about like trying to not overspend time on one place. I think that's like the one advice I could give. Like if you're spending too much time on something, like try to like take a step back and realize and see if you're spending too much time on something.
On behalf of all of us, I would like to thank Dr. Kanchana Ranasinghe for sharing his valuable experience with us today. Your journey, challenges, and achievements truly inspired us. Listening to your real time experience uh, gave us a clear understanding of what it means to be an ENTC student. Your practical advice and honest insights will definitely motivate us and guide through taking better decision in both professional and academic activities. And we especially appreciate your time and your efforts to be here with us today. Once again, thank you for your valuable session, and we are truly grateful for your presence today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I will drop off the call then. Okay, thanks again.